This is Anais, and welcome to my channel. This message may not resonate with all of you in the Sacred Union Collective, or as some of you like to be known, as the Twin Flame Collective. However, I do feel it will resonate for some of you as we are now entering the Mercury retrograde energies. And those of you who are engaged in that school of thought may be dealing with retrograde opportunities that you can decide consciously as co-creators whether or not you want to engage in those retrograde opportunities. Today's message is going to be a longer one. Today's reading is going to encompass what I would normally separate out as the extended reading, because I think that the core information, the core energy of this reading is such that everyone may want to just go through the whole video, and I don't feel like holding information back that may be really valuable to someone who's going to be watching this content. So in the link description below, you will find a opportunity to donate to my channel if you're interested in doing that following this reading. And you can also book a personal reading with me. Again, you need to really understand that I'm only focused on sacred union and the journey of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So if you're in that situation and you would perhaps like to have some guidance or an exploration of where you are in your current energies, because while the collective may be moving through streams of energy that are associated with one specific timeline of ascension, we are all also very much aligned with our own individual timelines and the current energies of our individual timelines. Okay, so that having been said, if you're familiar at all with my channel and the content, you'll know that I do pre-shuffle and cut and select cards, and then I sort them out according to what the information is, what the current energies are, and if there's any overarching theme, what that theme might be. So with this reading, we're looking at the overarching information around the value of forgiveness in the sacred union journey. Those of us who are on the sacred union journey are aware that we are dealing with multiple timelines and multiple lifetimes, and also we are dealing with our primary families of origin, we're dealing with our ancestral families, and we're also dealing with our soul tribe, our soul family. So we are in some very complex dynamics. So where I'd like to begin this information sharing with you today is we're going to focus on the top row first, and I will turn cards over as they presented themselves when I shuffled and chose the cards from the top of the decks that I'm using. So on the first row, we have, coming out first, treasured memories. And for me, this speaks to the energy of coming into our Akashic record information and locating our treasured memories and the people and situations and dynamics in those treasured memories and in a sense holding them aloft for clarity, for truth, transparency, and trust as we sit quietly and allow those treasured memories to show themselves to us in moments of quiet contemplation. Now, this particular sharing of information is primarily focused at where the divine feminine is as we begin the reading and as we're coming into the Mercury retrograde. So again, this isn't going to resonate for all of you, but there may be some of you for whom this holds very, very important value. Next out was Queen Bee. And for me, in this particular deck, this card represents 3 levels, 3 layers of divine feminine energy. The first, of course, is Gaia and her energy of the queen bee and the mother of all life on our planet. The second is of the actual bee diva, who is a queen and who is a complete archetypal mother of an entire species, that being the honeybee and other bee pollinators as well. And then the third level for me represents the sacred divine feminine when she is feeling fully in balance and fully in her heart energy, and she is open and supportive of all life energy. So here we have Queen Bee out, and she is part of the divine feminine in this sacred union and part of this information sharing. Next out, we have Sleeping Beauty's Dream. And for me, this card represents the deep dreaming that happens when we're in a sacred union dynamic and when our divine feminine energy is unifying within us to the point where conscious, super conscious or meta being, and unconscious or subconscious energies are becoming unified within us, and we are operating and we are listening and we are responding to and we are acting from this level of unity within ourselves as the divine feminine in sacred union. So here we have the divine feminine in her dreaming state when she is even working and building and creating the reality, the space in which her soul tribe and her partner and their collective mission will live and thrive. And it has to come from the inside and then be brought into the material world. And at this point, those of us who are on Sacred Union Journey realize that the material world is now the 5D world. And here you see that she's holding a little bird here in her hand, and that this is also a symbol for nature and our natural animal friends who are also going to become part of the environment that we create in 5D, where they will be safe and cherished and honored. And you can see that this energy of unconditional love is flowing and growing from her heart, and it is part of the new paradigm nesting information that the sacred feminine is doing in her sleep time. A lot of work is happening in our sleep time. Our bodies do need to continue to have adequate rest because we are still changing genetically and energetically. Next out, we have the journey, and here we see a younger feminine energy who has a young buck under her skirt, and she is adorning this young buck. And for me, this represents this is a very innocent, erotic card. in which the young feminine energy is feeling her divine masculine and the union within them as a wonderful and delightful source of innocent and erotic play, and of balancing the co-creative energies which we normally misuse as just purely sexual energy. She is learning to respect this energy, to recognize that both aspects are a part of her, and she is adorning and cherishing this masculine side of her, the young buck within her. And here again we see the reference to the heart energy, the rose, moving through. Now we have the waking self, the dreaming self, and the inner child feminine. Next, we have the observer. And many of us in this next cycle of energy, in this particular time frame, and these readings are meant to be timeless because there are wave after wave after wave of awakenings and sacred unions happening according each to our individual and unifying timelines. Now, in this image, you see that once again, the conscious feminine she's been feeling and allowing memories to surface and to bring them into clarity. And they're coming perhaps from a higher plane of dimension, and she's holding on to them very lightly. And here she has transitioned into being a closer observer of that information. And she's looking at it, and she's facing forward, and she's looking at it directly. And now, here you can see she's almost in a soft reverie. Now she's very much directly engaged with the information. And yet again, we have another bird, higher intelligence. This bird always is a symbolic for me of air energy, which is thought and mind. But this feminine energy is very grounded. She is very grounded. She's secure. She's stable. Here I see these dandelion or these seed pods floating off of her head as she's releasing thought patterns and archetypal patterns that no longer serve her growth or her union. And she's very, very focused, sitting on Gaia, looking forward to face the information from the new Akashic record that she needs to have to help protect and strengthen and stabilize her sacred union within herself and with her divine masculine in the external. Next we have this card, Secrets. And here you see again, we have the inner child feminine. She is holding the moon, and the moon is represented as a portal space, and she has the keys to these portal spaces. And while she's standing solidly on her shield, on her magnetic flow energy connection to Gaia and her personal shield, she is also risen above the material plane, and she's in an in-between space. And here you have the mature, conscious, awakened feminine looking very closely at her inner, younger feminine in support of, you have the information, you have the keys, you are going to be my partner in revealing this information so that together we are in support of our inner union, our external union, and most of all our union with Source and the Divine. And here you can see this inner feminine child has her hand resting very lightly on this portal, and she's quite comfortable and balanced on her energetic shield, which is the vehicle she uses to travel through time, space, and dimensions. And here we can look at this way, in which these two inner child, wise, feminine beings are, this one is willing to share and unlock the portal to share secrets about the journey itself, and how the healed and whole and integrated inner divine feminine is a key to the success of the union, because in her youthful energy and in her innocence, she has no fear. And then the last card up, this is one of my favorite cards for me, and this represents, for me, the sacred union energy of the divine feminine, and in her role of gathering the soul tribe and being part of the soul tribe and helping to support and nurture the soul tribe's journey, as well as her own, as well as the journey of her internal and external sacred masculine, the divine masculine. She is weaving flowers of intention. She is weaving a beautiful living co-creation. Flowers of intention, flowers of compassion, flowers of truth, transparency, and trust. And in this instance, in this time period right now, I am feeling so very, very much in my heart energy, a deep, deep intensity around the energy of forgiveness. And I will go more into that in just a minute. But here we have the energy of the role, or the current energy, that the wave, the shareable wave that the divine feminine is on at the current time. All right, now going back to the first row, here we have the soul shrinker. Let's talk about the soul shrinker. This is someone in our lives who is a low frequency, unconscious co-creator, and who may be actively involved in some of the snake energy dynamics, which I talk about in my Wisdom Body Healing course. So the soul shrinker is someone who is going to hold a space of consciousness that is one of limitation. This is going to be the energy of explanations and providing all the reasons why you can't be your glorious, authentic, spiritual, physical, emotional, and intellectual self. This is the energy of jealousy. This is the energy of, I will do everything in my power to stop you from becoming your best, most loving, and fully whole self. This is so much the energy that is behind the patriarchal masculine, the distorted masculine that we know and that we're all working to transform and heal. And so what I would share with you is that while there are times when it's so valuable for us, divine feminines and divine masculine alike, on the sacred union journey, to be able to not only turn and face the soul shrinkers in our external world who may be blocking our union, but to also do the shadow work so that we can face the soul shrinkers in our internal environment who are preventing us from coming into sacred union within ourselves because of long-held patterns of shame or guilt, self-judgment, lack of self-acceptance, sense of rejection, of being abandoned. Again, I go into all of this information in my online course, Wisdom Body, which you can find on Patreon. But the soul shrinkers are among us, and they are in us. And we at times need to really be able to see how we may be functioning as a soul shrinker in someone else's life. This can also be very true of parents. Many times our parents have served as the soul shrinker energy, where we wanted to expand and grow and to move into our own divine original template of who we're meant to be. and our parents or family member has stepped in the way of that flow and said, no, I need you here, I need you to do this, or I want you to do that, or I want you to become this or that. And so when we're in the role of parents, and also when we're in the role of being a spouse, whether husband or wife, we need to be very, very aware and willing to see when we are meeting our beloved other in a soul shrinker energy. And this is some of the most beautiful shadow work that we can do. So I wanted to just take a minute and elaborate on what does the soul shrinker energy actually look like in your life, and how someone is mirroring back to you the place inside of you that doesn't yet fully accept your own complete, gorgeous wholeness as you are held in the imagination of Gaia and as you are held in the heart of Source. And this is why we are being so supported in the energy of forgiveness at this time. There will be many divine feminines right now who are aware and who are becoming conscious in looking through treasured memories and in reviewing in their dream time who and what is presenting to them. Okay, and who, as they're observing and really looking into the secrets of their treasured memories, they're encountering the soul shrinkers along their various timelines and lifetimes. So I will share with you that since the beginning of this year, in the last, this from the January right on through this month, I have been engaged with timelines of past lives, and this has involved our soul tribe, where we have had soul shrinking energy who have wanted to keep us locked in the dynamic of a very old, very dysfunctional, very painful to feminine energy, but destructive all the way around, an old patriarchal timeline that has been, in my soul tribe, we've been working to unravel this, and I'm sure many of you are doing the same work. And so we have met physically with soul shrinkers in the periphery of our sacred union journey. And we have recognized that it is our task, it is our divine task to meet these soul shrinkers face to face and to, in a sense, offer them heartfelt forgiveness. At the same time, we are completely disempowering them from being able to recreate a timeline as destructive or as damaging ever again. And so this is a really important part of what's happening in the current energies, is the soul shrinkers are revealing themselves. And the divine feminine needs to step up and stand strong in her authenticity and knowing that she is absolutely backed and protected by Gaia and the elemental and animal spirits here in the 3D earth, and certainly in the 5D earth. The soul shrinker energy cannot pass through that gate. And if we're attached to it, we will not pass through the 5D gate successfully. So this is the time for us to really, with tenderness and compassion and lots of forgiveness, bring these soul shrinkers into a space of consciousness, so they have an opportunity to look at themselves and make choices about what they need to know that may have been even hidden from their own conscious minds and only showing up in subconscious and unconscious behavior patterns. Now, in my own instance, the soul shrinker energies, there have been 2 men and 2 women that I have relationships with over many timelines. And wow, the workout has been, from the beginning of this year, is to heal, transform, and transmute my part of the engagement or enmeshment in those relationships, and to offer forgiveness and compassion to the other parts of myself who are showing up in this lifetime as soul shrinkers. And this allows me not to take on any energy of victimization. It allows me to stand face to face with a soul shrinker and simply make I statements. Here I am. This is what I am aware of about me. This is what I have learned over the course of many lifetimes about my ego, my pride, my cruelty. This is the soul. This is me being able to stand before you clearly, having done the work of transforming any aspect of soul shrinker within my own spiritual identity. Okay, now because of that work, there is a shift in the energy. So where the union has perhaps been in a stall or has been in a pause, where this is, to me, is just one half of a conscious co-creation. It represents a half of a co-creative spiral that is stuck because the other half of the spiral is missing. So there's nothing that can be co-created here when the energy is in this kind of a downward flowing spiral that does not have a matching upward flowing magnetic spiral to do the co-creative dance with it. And when we're in this kind of a downward flowing spiral and we're in electromagnetic energy, we're out of balance, and we literally become energetically blind and we can't see. Now, because this energy has shifted, the divine feminine is coming out of this state of blindness so that she's able to unify these aspects of herself, conscious, superconscious, and subconscious and unconscious energies, so that she is prepared and ready and supported in the work that she has to do now. She can see the soul shrinkers. They've become absolutely obvious. All right, now with that shift in energy, where the divine feminine says, yes, I am ready. I am ready to deal with the soul shrinker in me and the soul shrinkers in my external reality. And there's, again, here comes the shift of energy, which is this rushing forward motion of the Knight of Swords in the traditional tarot deck. This is a fast-moving energy of truth, and moving to protect, using truth as the means of protection. And so I see this energy coming in to support and protect this journey, which is the inner divine feminine in her gorgeous unification, being the observer of the secrets and seeing the truth and coming into a place where she can then weave flowers of whatever energy is necessary to bring these cycles, toxic cycles, to a close. Where she is weaving flowers of wholeness and healing and transformation. All right. Now, as a result of this shift coming in the current energies right now, we have the divine masculine responding. He can't help but respond when his divine feminine is bringing him energy and information that he needs for his part of the journey. So here he is showing up fully as himself. His heart chakra has been lit. His clairvoyance, his third eye is activated, and his crown is fully open and lit up, because he too is part of the work of dealing with the soul shrinkers who are blocking sacred union. And now he is ready to assist his divine feminine within himself and in his external environment to move this journey along. Next out, we got the Piper. And here you can see the translation of this beautiful, intense clarity and commitment and intention moving into the romantic, feelingful place that's also calling to other awakening divine masculines in the collective, and encouraging them and offering assistance and support in having to do the work of cleaning out the soul shrinking energy that is the distorted masculine patriarchy. So now we have lots of intelligence and intensity and sensitivity and a sense of being part of a greater collective and stepping up. This is just gorgeous. I was blown away when these two cards came out. Not surprised, but blown away with the week that I've been through, where I have been, the last several months actually, where I've been dealing with soul shrinker after soul shrinker after soul shrinker. Yeah, quite a workout. And then what comes out next is we have a return of the union. The block has been removed from the union. The divine masculine is fully prepared. He is engaged. He's ready to step up and do his part. And he's also calling to his divine feminine. In this instance, she appears as Tobira of the waters. And so she is going to be moving along with him in a divine flowing forward motion where the sacred union is protected and it flows forward and it materializes. So this is just gorgeous. That's the union in the energy of the union. It's stunning. And we have these two masculine energies with their 2/3 electric now integrating and becoming one energy, which makes more room for the feminine energy to come in, the two of them to move forward, and for the two of them to hold the union in authentic truth in their union with Source. As they literally turn the corner in this reading. This is a lot of fun. Okay, so next out we have the challenges on the external level. We have the Six of Swords, which is moving away from what does not serve. So here you see a person and a child. This is like a trinity. This is the divine masculine protecting his soul tribe family and his personal family as they are moving, and they're able to observe with clarity and move away very gracefully without a lot of drama and chaos and conflict, away from those things that do not serve them in their individual lives, their life together in sacred union, their work together, their mission work in sacred union, because they're able to see clearly now, and they observe those things and make choices that serve their growth, their evolution, and the gifts that they will be bringing into the world. And then next we had out the Five of Wands in traditional tarot. And for me, this represents, the wands are all green. So while there's chaos and conflict here, and there's a sense of being ganged up on one against many, what we also have here is that this is part of evolution. This is part of things growing. This is part of things becoming, it's the creative tension that can arise from the number 4, which is stability. So while many people would read this as chaos and conflict, I actually recognize this card as reflective of the energy of creative tension. and of things moving and there being a turn in the energy. Here you see there is a complete turn that's very focused and very direct, and coming out of being locked down in a form of stability that is stagnant. So that's very exciting. And it comes underneath the card of secrets and the inner child. So there's a sense of this little girl. She has, I think she has 4 keys. And here we have the protection of her as she's doing this work, the creative tension that the divine masculine is holding the space for, the creative tension that will evolve when she unlocks all of these portals with the keys that she's holding. She has 4 keys, so that for me represents 1 key for each dimension as the journey to the new paradigm, the 5th dimension, is on its way. So he's holding the fort and she's holding the keys. So there has to be a great deal of trust and collaboration here. And these 2 cards represent, these 3 represent the sacred union energies of divine feminine and masculine coming together in spectacular trust and intention. And then next out we have, in this progression, we have the King of Chalices. This is the King of Cups. This is the offer of love, and this is the position that the divine masculine is holding as we're coming into the closure of this reading. He has positioned himself here in archetypal energies and in subtle body and in energies and current energy flows, and now his heart has opened and his heart and emotions are involved in the union. He has opened his heart to the experience of the union, and here you can see, at least in this depiction, this King of Hearts has laid down his weapons here at his feet, and he's focused on the cup of love. And we have the transition. He's able to transition from the Knight of Swords, the Knight of Truth, having rushed in to be part of the union in a very dynamic way, and now even he is coming into a place where he can sit peacefully for a little bit and feel his role in the divine union as the King of Cups, who is holding the container of unconditional love for all concerned. So, which brings us to the last traditional tarot card that presented itself, and this is the Fool and the Fool's Journey. So I really feel that when the divine feminine has taken on her fully co-creative role as the weaver of flowers of the sacred union experience, and the divine masculine is supporting her in unconditional love, then the 2 of them are ready to move forward on the fool's journey that they will take together. And whatever that together looks like according to their own soul plan. Now here you see that the Fool is carrying a flower. She's weaving these flowers, and he's aware of that. He has lightened his load, but he still has a wand for protection in the event that he needs it. And he is about to take a leap of faith and walk off the cliff and see where he lands. So in the distance there's quite a bit of orange and gold energy, which to me indicates that there's passion ahead and enough sustaining energy to make the journey across, not knowing how it will happen. All right, so then as the last coming closure full around, we have the soul tree, which for me represents the soul tribe. And so I feel this is a beautiful validation of this particular journey of this reading, because we have these energies combining, and all of them combining in the weaving of the flowers to serve the soul tree or the soul tribe. That's just so deeply moving and beautiful for me today. And I love how how her hat is a little bit reminiscent of this beautiful branching tree on this enlightened globe of co-creation. And she is really equal to the task of doing her part in being engaged in this delicate work of weaving these flowers of conscious awareness, unifying subconscious, unconscious, and conscious information, holding the place of the observer, knowing that she has a young buck under her skirts that's there to support her in her erotic energy of co-creation, and that she has the keys to the portals that are being unlocked as we transit through dimensions. All right, and then I asked for a card for each, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And for the divine masculine, this card came out, let your light shine. And so while the divine masculine has done all of this transformation, and he's now sitting in the energy and holding the energy of unconditional love for himself, as well as for all else that he's involved in his evolution, he's coming into an opportunity to really allow his own light to shine as part of dealing with any soul shrinkers who would stand in the way of union. Personal, professional, spiritual life. So here he is, fully activated and engaged. And in this card, he's putting unconditional love in his heart energy above all else. And for the divine feminine, we have healing. So once again, as the divine masculine is empowered and holding his heart energy in unconditional love, the divine feminine, here represented as Tabira of the waters, is supporting all of that with her beautiful emotional energy and connection to Source and to Gaia. And she's holding the healing energy that comes through our emotional bodies and then our etheric bodies that then become the basis of co-creation. So these two are fully ready to begin their co-creative work together. And this is in spite of, or perhaps because of, the Mercury retrograde energies. So for those of you who are a little bit nervous about Mercury retrograde, I will say that once you reach a certain frequency, the Mercury retrograde usual tricks and traits really don't apply to you anymore. I'll give you an example. I had a friend here visiting this week, and he was due to fly out mid-afternoon, around 4 o'clock. And then he checked, he pre-checked, he checked himself in the night before, and then he got a notification early in the morning that all the flights across the country were in a delay pattern because of weather. And so he spoke to a representative of his particular airlines, and he was assured that he would have a seat on the next available flight that would get him home, not at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and he wouldn't have to sleep in the airport. And so we relaxed, and we still had some beautiful inner spiritual work and outer spiritual work to do together. And so we relaxed and took our time in doing that. And then he had a plan to take a train into the airport on our rail system. And then I said, well, let's just check and see what the timing is, because he noticed that we were about 3 minutes out from a train leaving the station he needed to make the connections on time. And I knew in my stance as the divine feminine that that wasn't going to work for him, and that I just simply trusted what I knew and calculated all the information that I needed to calculate to say, you know what, we need to call you an Uber or you're not going to make your flight, because the airlines had then done a Mercury retrograde turnabout, and his original delayed flight was now going to leave at the originally scheduled time. So that was a 3-hour difference. But because of where I am in my frequency as the divine feminine, I just quickly did the timeline work that I know how to do. It's one of my skill sets, and put the pieces together. An Uber showed up in 3 minutes. We would not have made it to the train station in 3 minutes, and whisked him away. And he had purchased some day passes, Transrail passes. And I said, you know what, when you get to the airport, as you're moving through, just pass those on to someone here in Philadelphia. Many of the transportation workers at our airport are only making $7 an hour, and they may be paying $5 for transportation in any given day, and some of them would be doing that and childcare. So pass those on, which he did, and of course he did. Everything worked out beautifully, and not only did he make his flight, but he had the gift of an aisle seat, which is something that he really prefers. So the last card out for this reading is that exchanging gifts, that the divine feminine in her current energies has begun exchanging gifts and using her gifts in a very, very masterful way. It's quite beautiful. And I know that many of you divine feminines right now are feeling this and seeing this flowering, literally flowering in your own physical reality, as well as in your internal spirituality. You are very, very aware of how powerful, skillful, adept you have become. And this is only going to increase exponentially as you allow yourself to actively engage forgiveness for any past life trauma, drama, conflict, murder, or damage that you may have done in other lifetimes. And then you also extend forgiveness to those for whom you have been in a situation where their role in the trauma, chaos, conflict that is part of the soul shrinker pattern on 3D Earth, that you forgive them for past timelines and past lifetimes where they have harmed you or even cursed you. And one of the things that came up for me this past week was the need to forgive the unconscious cursing that we have made on one another. And these curses now are blocking sacred union. And so if you died at the hands of someone else and it was an injustice, and instead of forgiving them at the time of the event, you cursed them, all of those curses are coming home to roost, in a sense. And the soul shrinker is counting on sacred unions being blocked because of lack of consciousness, because of lack of awareness, because of lack of emotional balance, and because of the inability, for all those reasons, to come into a space of compassion, forgiveness, and grace. And that energy will successfully block sacred union, which is exactly the intention of the soul shrinkers in our lives. So I would like to share with you that one of our, maybe I'll put this up here, top of the soul shrinker, just to say, hey bud, not this time. One of the essences that that has come through and that we market and sell, and we would be happy to send to you, is number 411. and it is compassion, forgiveness, and grace. And we've had tremendous feedback on this particular essence. And so if you're working with the need to allow yourself to naturally flow into an energy of compassion, forgiveness, or grace, or all three, do check out our website. The link is in the description box below. And look specifically on our Shopify shop for number 411. All right, that concludes the reading today. It's a little longer, but again, because of the nature of the information that came out, and this this has been sitting on my table for a couple of days because I needed to meditate, and this energy was coming out as dynamics were unfolding. And I needed to allow the information to integrate and sift and allow me to engage it from energy into a translation into language so that I could share it with you today. Okay, again, please like, share, and subscribe if this content was valuable to you. We will have another episode of Meeting the Beloved in Sacred Union happening this month, and I will include a link to that information so you can sign up for that on my Patreon page. And we'd love to see you there, and that's a more of an interactive event, and you can join in and be part of the conversation. So enjoy the rest of your week, and really, for those of you who are in their frequency range, you just don't really have to worry about Mercury retrograde. You are a conscious co-creator now, and at this point you should be experimenting with wisely and carefully adjusting timelines as necessary so that you are living in a state of ease, abundance, flow, and grace. Okay, thanks. Take care.